Hey there, artsy friends. Welcome to my second composition notebook art journal series. This page is going to be called Peaches. You'll understand because of my quote. I have been off for 3 or 4 weeks now from working in my art journal or really doing much of anything artsy because I was gone. So it's interesting. I've realized what a creature of routine I am. I thrive on routine, and when I stop doing my routine, I have a really hard time restarting my routine. Let's see how many times I can say routine. But that's kind of the nature of creativity, is when you break out of the mold, right? Break out of what is the routine and the norm, and you try to stretch your imagination and do new things. And anyway, I am just diving back into art journaling, and I got a few new tools. I spent some birthday money and I got this silicone brush. It's not really a brush. It's, I don't know what it's called, but it's just a flat, looks like a brush, silicone thing, scrapey thing. And I saw, when I first started art journaling, I think Karen Tamir, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but I remember her recommending this. She said she used a credit card for a long time, kind of like I have, but she tried the silicone brush out and really liked it. So it's kind of been on my wish list for a long time. And since I had some birthday money, I figured I'd give it a try. And I really do like it. One of the things I like is that it wipes off clean really easily. I just took a baby wipe and then it's like ready to go the next time. So sometimes when I use a credit card, it just gets kind of messy and plastered everywhere, and I reuse it and it's like caked on. But I have enough of those old ones that I just throw them out. Okay, so moving on, I know I'm going to make a quote. So I tore this little piece out just to create an area to mask where I am not going to stencil. That way, when I go to write my quote, I could write over the stencil. It's really not that big of a deal, but just decided to do it that way. So I'm taking a metallic, kind of a bluish green, kind of an aqua metallic color, and working my stencil around the mask there. And as I pull it up, I realize it's really not super noticeable. It's a very subtle look, which is fine. I'm just building up kind of some base layers. I always like using metallics or something that's reflective so that you get kind of a different look as you look at your pages from different angles. Okay, so I am going to start with my quote, which I think I saw it on Pinterest and really liked it. And it is, "You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and still there's going to be somebody who hates peaches." So we can be the best version of ourselves, and we're never going to get everyone's approval, acceptance, whatever. And the sooner that we realize that and accept that and not let it bother us, the better. So there's always going to be haters out there. Whenever I take from inspiration somewhere, I always try to show you so you can kind of see how I connect things. And this piece right here I thought was really cool. I love the bright backgrounds and the black and white and just kind of how she did some of her doodling. So I'm using this as an inspiration piece today as I start with my doodles. And you'll see at the end that there's definitely a strong resemblance, but it's not a copycat page. Did I just say page? Page. You know, I've noticed as I've watched YouTube videos of different artists, there are a lot of us from a lot of different countries, from a lot of different languages, and we all have like different accents. You know, I've got the like boring Midwest American accent that's really probably to me is not an accent, but I always thought it would be fun to do a whole video in some other accent just for fun. And then people who maybe were tuning in for the first time would think that that's my normal accent, and they'd be like, whoa, what is going on, the next time they watched a different video. Wouldn't that be weird? Yeah. I've done that like in the grocery store before where I'll talk to like the cashier and like be like, "Oh, it's wonderful to see you today. Have you having a good day, you know?" And then my kids would get terribly embarrassed, which is bonus because that's super fun. Like when my kids were little, I pretty much, my goal in life was to try to embarrass them. Because my dad always did that, but always in a fun way, not in a like seriously embarrassing way. Just acting silly in public. And I just thought my dad was hilarious. But for some reason, my kids do not share so much my same affinity for just being weird. Actually, one of them. I have 3 kids. And my son shares my sense of humor. My girls, not so much. Okay, so you can see that I kind of did a little bit of imitation here on my reference where I'm kind of filling in some of these little blobs. But as I'm doing that, I'm realizing whenever you vary the thickness of a line, it creates like a whole new dimension to it. So I'm going back over all of these little, they're not even rectangles, they're kind of various shapes, but you know, shading in or filling in parts of the line to give it more kind of like a 3-dimensional look, I would say. And one of my favorite parts about just being artsy and letting myself go is that sometimes I wouldn't say sometimes, I'd say most of the time, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. And so making all these little variations, it's like the page is revealing itself to me. It's not like, I don't know, it's like, I don't even know how to word it. You know, I'm being creative. Yes, it's coming from my brain and my hand, yet it's almost like it exists and I am just unleashing it. That sounds really weird. Again, I'm going to use the variation technique with the differing lines. So I'm adding some very thin lines in between my thicker lines. And as I'm doing that, ooh, I'm having fun. It feels a little neurographic because I'm like allowing the pen, well, still a marker, but I'm just using the tip. I'm keeping it more at a 90-degree angle to make sure that I'm not pressing down too hard and getting too thick of a line. But as I'm doing it now, I just want to kind of connect them. So I'm going to fill them in and it's going to be a little neurographic. I also learned when I did, not too long ago, I did a page, if you saw it, it looks like pour painting, and something that I experimented with on that page and that I'm kind of doing here is as I'm following lines, like if I'm outlining something, instead of leaving the space around it even, I am finding that if you kind of play with it a little bit and make it more wavy, that it gives like this fluid look. So yeah, so you can see I'm just creating some thin lines and filling in the corners. Okay, so now I'm going to take that thin line that I surrounded my quote with, and in just a few places, I'm going to kind of double up and create maybe like a little hollow space. Do you see how I'm doing that? And I already know what I'm going to do with it, which was not from my inspiration piece, but I probably have seen it somewhere. I don't know. There's nothing new under the sun. I'm going to add some little dash marks in there, and you'll see once I get started on that. Spoiler. Okay, so before I do any more details in the black, I got my white Posca marker out, and I want my quote to pop off the page a little bit more. So I'm outlining it in white. Okay, in my opinion, this is where the page really starts to pop, is when I'm adding white to my black as far as just creating that contrast. And I love that you can still see all the colors in the background. So I'm adding some dots along the thicker lines and then just kind of randomly outlining some of the spaces. All of my little shapes within are getting a white tracing inside the little blobs. Don't you love my technical terms? I really like the look of the black with a white polka dot line, so I am thickening this line here in preparation for more polka dots. Okay, I'm adding something a little new. Now I'm putting some little groups of dots, little circles of different sizes that give it kind of a bubble feel. Doesn't it feel like there's like everything feels very fluid, and these are just like little bubbles popping up. Okay, here's my little hash lines that I was talking about that I knew I was gonna do. So I got a, this isn't technically a fine liner, unless that's a generic term for any fine line pen. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to have to go to the other channels to get all the, like, you know, official descriptions for things. I just make them up. So yeah, it's a dual-sided permanent marker and it has a very fine tip. So I'm using that for my fine lines. So is that a fine liner then, I guess? Okay. So I'm going to add in some more little dashes here and there. And then I'm actually taking my little white bubbles and outlining them with my fine black marker. Then I'm going to add some more little dashes and some spaces here and there. Ooh. Well, this is the part where I stop and I look and I ask myself if it's done, and I think it's done. So I hope that you enjoyed watching my process today and that you will come back, like, subscribe, hang out with me again, go be creative. I hope that you're inspired and that you'll go have a wonderful, blessed day.